love that song. And, you know, songs aren't picked by accident. Today we're talking about Moses. We're talking about Moses at the burning bush, right? The light is bright. God tells Moses to lead. And Moses says, I can't. I don't talk very well. I don't know what to do. I can't do that. God doesn't argue with Moses. God doesn't ask more questions of Moses or explain to him why. What he'd ask is he's asked, what's in your hand? What's in your hand? Moses said, a staff. And the staff is the shepherd's hook. And so there's a lot of meaning here with this staff, right? So the shepherds used it to guide their flock. That's what Moses had. They walk with it, they use it, they do. And so in the Bible too, where it says, thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. It's the shepherd's hook, but I am guided. The guidance I have, the guidance that's given to me. But God says to Moses, what is in your hand? And Moses says a staff. And he says, drop it to the ground. He drops it and it turns into a snake. God says, pick it up. So he reaches for the snake and he picks it up and it's a staff. God says, what's in your hand? Moses says, a staff. So why are we going with this? Is because God gives us nudges all the time. That voice, that inner voice is always telling us. And if you ever notice, that voice doesn't argue with you. It just keeps nudging it. It just keeps saying, you've got this. Use what's in your hand. And so this is what you have. But symbolically, it could be guide your people. Guide your people to freedom. Guide your people to where they need to go. Doesn't matter what you think if you can say, if you have the right words now. There's all kind of ideas of what was wrong with Moses. Did he have a speech impediment? Did he stutter? Did he have a deformity? Even in a story that's in the Jewish history was that the Pharaoh was afraid of Moses, Moses was going to take over. And in the story is that they put in front of Moses as a toddler, so as a young child, a bowl of gold or a hot coal, and told him to pick the one that he was supposed to put in his mouth. And according to their story, the angel had said, so that to prove that no, because again, if Moses means harm to the Pharaoh, what's going to happen to Moses, right? Moses picks up the hot coal and puts it in his mouth and burns his tongue, and there's the speech impediment or this issue. But that's a fable. We don't know that that's true. But it was, again, if you take that, going on the guidance that keeps him alive longer to do what he's supposed to do. We will avoid whatever we need to do to be uncomfortable. We will run away. We use our feet sometimes not to run towards something, but to run away. Sometimes we're using it for both, right? But we have this tendency to always second guess and to question what we have. And we don't always know. Maybe there's wisdom that we have in our life that we don't realize that we have this wisdom. Maybe it's like, I don't know, have you ever been in the grocery store and all of a sudden you heard the thing about buy the people's behind you groceries? I mean, you know? And do you go, oh, okay? Or do you go, well, you know that I'm going to go get my car fixed and I don't know how much that'll be. I mean, right? We have those arguments. But what if we acted on that nudge immediately? What would happen if when we got that intuitive hit, when we got that intuitive nudge and we acted immediately before we could talk ourselves out of it, how different might our life be? Because each time we act on it, there's another clearing of the path and there's another way. But no, we got to do the math. We got to do we got to do the talking. We got to consult with the tarot cards. We got to consult with our friends. We got to talk to our parents. We got to decide what everybody else is telling us to do. But Spirit is saying, use what I've given you. You don't need all of the answers today. You don't need to know how. Did Moses know how to lead these people through this exodus? Through this transition? No, and he messed up along the way. But he got them to where they needed to go. And God was there guiding all of the time. What gets in the way? What trips us up? Where we pull back on our faith. Where we don't have the faith that we are being led on the right path. Where we start to question it. Where we start to doubt. And how many times have we done that? Right? And not just like, it can be like on our individual level, it can be in our families, it can be in how we run our businesses, it can be in any way of how we are in our communities, but we don't often just say yes to that intuitive nudge. We don't just hear in our head, it's time to move. And you go, okay, I'll get on the internet and start looking at places I might want to go, right? It's like, I like my house, and I don't like packing very much. No, that's not going to happen. And you keep hearing that nudge for a long time, right? But what if you immediately, it said you're moved to Chicago, and you go, really? Chicago? And what happens if we would immediately start to act on that? What would happen? You don't know, because we'd argue. And we'd find, well, I want another sign. I want another sign for that, right? And so sometimes, again, taking that staff, and Moses took that staff and he went to lead his people. He didn't know. He didn't have all the answers. He didn't know. But he had to trust that to open up the door to faith. And again, as they're making that journey, they're having to cross the river because they were given permission to go, right? And they're going across. It's like, how do we do this? We got the river and we got the army coming behind us because, oops, they changed their mind. We're going back. We're going to be slaughtered and imprisoned. What happened to the Red Sea? Psh, right? They opened up. They got through it. Every man, woman, and child got through it. Now, did it really happen? I can't say I wasn't there, and if I was, I have no memory of it, right? I can't say. But what I can say is that in my life, when I have followed and there was an obstacle, if I didn't fight against the obstacle, the path was made clear and in the right and perfect time. All right, so I might have given Wednesday to God as the assignment, but really God's time is not till Thursday noon, right? And we get all worked up. Well, I said Wednesday. And Spirit's not listening to me. It doesn't love me anymore. It doesn't care about me. It's not supporting me. That's where we go into that, right? We go into that. Why aren't we being supported? But if we really trust, I am here in this place because I listened to the guidance to be a Unity minister. And I go, okay. Well, I'm going to tell Rick, okay. And Rick goes, okay. It's like, we don't argue with that God voice when we get it. That's what I call it for me, is I call it the God voice. I'm here because of listening to that voice, and everything was clear. Now, doesn't mean that ministry hasn't been difficult at times or hard, but it's like I'm going where I'm led, right? And it doesn't mean when we're led to something that everything's going to be hunky-dory, because again, we know the journey with Moses had obstacles with it. It had challenges. However, if faith hadn't been lost and resistance put up, it would have probably gone smoother, because at some point when it starts to get a little bit, or, our mothers get too much in our head, that voice that we hear from the past of the whys or why we shouldn't or it can't be or that's not practical, then what happens? We have more faith in the person that would not move through fear in their life to be happy over the guidance that is telling us, hey, I've got something exciting for you. to move towards. I've got something exciting for you to live towards, to go for. And right now as a community, we have something in our hand. And how can we take what's in our hand and use it to build bigger and more community, to use it to let people know how awesome unity is, for people to know that faith and prayer work, for people to know that they are worthy and that they are deserving and that they are awesome and they're not broken. They're just in the story of the illusion that they're broken. We have that opportunity. That's what's in the hand for unity. Not just us, all over. That's what's in our hands, is what? Faith of knowing that when we apply these teachings, and faith over fear, the sea's parted. The way is made clear. But it's using what is put in our hand. Now, again, we might think, well, this is in my hand, so it must be that this is what I'm supposed to do, so I'm going to choose where I do it at. And maybe it's not about what you have in your hand, you can't use it, but maybe it's not where you might think you should use it. Does that make sense? I don't know if I'm making sense, but I can give you a story once. So somebody called me because they were in meditation and their guides told them to contact me. So she calls up this person who I didn't know, and she wants to make an appointment with me because her guides have told her to do it, right? And I say, okay, well, let's make an appointment, and it's going to be $100. Oh, no, you don't understand. You don't understand. My guides told me to call you. And I said, and you did. And I'm willing to make an appointment with you. No, but you don't, I thought you had guides and you believed in guides. I absolutely believe in spiritual help. I absolutely believe in the intuition. I absolutely believe in that process. Well, then why are you not listening to me? And I said, did they tell you to call me and I would do it for free? Did they? Well, I think that I need to have my guides talk to your guides. You do that. But so did she make an appointment? No. And it's okay. Because now if my guidance would have said, move forward, I would have heard it immediately. Because sometimes somebody calls me in a crisis and I hear, take care of them and they need it now, make the time. So I would do that. But that's not how this was going. So sometimes we're manipulating how we think it should go because we get the inner nudge. Am I making sense with that? And so it's understanding it too, that we take it to where we're guided, and that person might, or that situation might not be the right one, but it doesn't mean it was the wrong one. It might be that it's an elimination to open up the illumination, to move to the next thing, right? To get the guidance, to get whatever it is directed at us. But sometimes, again, we're thinking when we hear something, oh, I'm supposed to do that. Well, then everybody else needs to clear their schedule and make time for me. Because, hey, I'm God's chosen. And aren't you? Yes. And aren't I? Yes. And it's following that process. But we have this gift, all of us, that's in our hand. That it is our birthright to have, to hold, and to use, but not to put in the closet. Not to bury it deep. Not to step back because we don't really know what to do with it. Not to step back because it might make us different and people might not want to go there. So let's use what's in our hand. Take that power, listen to that nudge, listen to that voice when it comes, because we have that power in our hand. It has already been given to us, and as we use it, we are glorified. The world is glorified in that. Yes, ma'am?
So to me, too, this says, be here now. This is like, what is that in your hand? It's like the now. The like right now, you have exactly what you need. And one of my biggest challenges in moving forward are some past regrets.
Mm-hmm.
And man, they're just like rattling around in there. And it's like, and I know about faith and stuff, but like letting go of the past is such a struggle sometimes.
Well, and the past holds us prisoner, right? It keeps us in bondage, right? And the thing is, we're in jail, but the door's not closed. We're not locked in, but we put ourselves in jail because of that. And it's realizing that it's okay to let it go. And what happens is we try very hard in our mind to kind of resolve it, right? And it's sometimes the people aren't here to go say I'm sorry to. Sometimes you can't change what's been done, but we can start to forgive ourselves for whatever it was, for whatever it did, and to know that the big thing is that we're not broken. That we're not broken, and that it's okay just to say, I'm willing to be at peace with that so that I can move forward. Because too, if you take whatever the pain was and you look and say, okay, I learned this from that. I learned that maybe I have to have clearer conversations. I learned that maybe I need to take a breath before saying something. We learn that, but because God's not keeping score, Spirit's not keeping score, and that's not like, so it's not like, again, St. Peter at the pearly gate, like, okay, you remember that time that you borrowed the car out of the garage? Nobody knew. It's not keeping score, but when we do it, what we're doing is we are separating ourselves from who we are. And so to just say, I'm just going to say, to start asking when it comes up is to say, is this keeping me from being who I truly am? And I'm willing to start to let it go. And I'm forgiving me. I don't know about anybody else. I've had to forgive God for not doing it my way. I mean, it's where, and again, God and I have a sense of humor together. But it is hard because we think that we have to fix that. And we think that, again, that until we can do whatever with that, we can't move forward. But it's letting it go. It's letting it go because that is keeping us from moving forward. Now, and think of it like this too, right? Is that in a car, we have the rear view mirror. You've heard me talk about that before. How much of your life do you want to spend driving backwards? Right? Because we're looking in the past, and so we can't go forward. We're driving backwards. And again, if we're trying to hit the gas and go forward, but we're in the rear view mirror, what's going to happen? We're going to hit an obstacle. There's going to be something there. The fear comes up in a couple of reasons. One is that we don't want to get where we were before. The other is that we haven't been there and we need to be prepared. And we're just totally afraid of it. But what if all of those things gave us the wisdom that when we just start to say, I love and accept myself, and I am willing to move forward regardless of what these hang-ups are. And I'm willing to start letting them go. It's kind of like, think of the analogy that each wrong thing that you did and you haven't forgiven or let go of, and it could be a grudge against somebody else, is a garbage bag. Could make a cement block tied around your leg. So how many of those might you have right now? How far could you walk if they were actually tied around your leg? How far could you get? They're garbage. We can throw them away. And we're safe to throw them away because that is not who we are. And we are here to expand and grow. So those things led us to growth. It didn't lead us to be in a place to be in misery because of how we have disappointed ourselves or others, or how others have disappointed us. Yes, Terry?
Back to listening to that intuition, to that voice. We were at a restaurant, and I heard we had one of the grandchildren, and I left the diaper bag in the car, and I got to go get the diaper bag. I don't need the diaper bag. Go get the diaper bag. Third time, I went, oh, okay, God, I'm gonna go get the diaper bag. As I was walking to the door, there was a lady choking. I was able to save her life.
See, and it was to get the diaper bag. And I'm going to go on with that for just a second because I like to tell this. This is a made-up story. It's a Sharonism. So it's a beautiful day. You've got a car with a convertible, and you've got the top down. You're going to the chiropractor's office. The music's good. The weather's good. You got the top down. You're singing along. You pull up into the chiropractor's office, and you go to get out of the car, and you hear, "Put the top up." And you're like, "It's not going to rain," but you put the top up. It's not going to rain. So let's say that you want to go ahead and you put it up because you heard it. You go in the chiropractor's office, you come back, car's fine, there's no rain, and then you're thinking, well, I must be crazy because, I put the top up and nothing happened and nothing was stolen from the car. But let's say that you just blew it off. You go out, you come back. There is no rain. And you're going, see, I was just silly to listen to myself. When you sit down and a bee stings you in the ass. Right? So sometimes in following it, we don't have the validation of why we were following it. But it's learning that. But we do get stung sometimes for not listening to it. Right? We do. And so excuse my way of saying it, but sometimes it hits home, right? But we have this in our hand. And regardless of fear of what might happen, faith can move us forward as a community, as individuals, to live a life that is blessed, not just for us, but we become those light for others. And so I invite you to open your hands and repeat after me. I am open to listening to the voice within. And I am grateful that I can hear it. And so it is. Amen and amen. And until next time, namaste.